So, children, today we will start with our first chapter in political science, working of the Constitution. The textbooks of political science till now have helped us to take an overview of local government, the values and the philosophy of the Indian Constitution, as also the governing structures created by the Constitution and India's place in international relations. The Indian Constitution has declared its objective to establish a secular, that is, not connected with religious or spiritual matters, democratic republic. Also, it has made extremely important provisions to ensure that the citizens get justice and their freedom is protected. The Indian Constitution is seen as the means through which a progressive developed society based on social justice and equality will be established. The Constitution came into force on 26 January 1950, and since then the government has been working in accordance with the principles of the Constitution. In this chapter, we will take a brief overview of the wide-ranging nature of Indian democracy, important changes that have taken place in its political process, and steps that have been taken to establish social justice and equality. This review will primarily focus on three areas, that is democracy, social justice, and social and judicial system. Democracy, you all know what is democracy. Then social justice. Social justice is justice in terms of distribution of wealth, opportunities and privileges in a society. Now, distribution of wealth does not really mean that each and everyone will get same amount of money from the government, but it is the opportunity to earn wealth that is equal, that is given equally to everyone. And judicial system means which consists of judges and other magistrates from which form the core of the judiciary system. The court has the power to make decisions, enforce the law and solve disputes. Let us see what is democracy. Political maturity. Democracy does not merely imply a representative structure. The essence of representative system is to integrate the principles of democracy in actual practice. Once this is done, democracy becomes an integral part of the political life of the society. Now, when we say political maturity, democracy does not really mean that only it is not confined only to the representative structure. That means it is not confined only to the representatives, political representatives. The essence of representative system is to integrate the principles of democracy in actual practice. These representatives should also implement the principles of democracy in our actual practice. It should not be confined to only written down or just for making agendas and propagandas. Once this is done, democracy becomes an integral part of the political life of the society. If this is done, if we have democracy in our actual life, actual practice, then this becomes a part of our political life of the society. Accordingly, the Indian people have direct representation in the parliament, state legislature and local government. Now, parliament is a legislative body of the government. And what is a legislative body? It is the body which has the power to make laws. Then similarly, the way we have the parliament, which is the national governing body, the national legislative body of the government. Similarly, we have also state legislature, that is the state legislature, that is the governing body which is confined to the state, and then we also have the local government. Holding free and fair elections at regular intervals is an important indicator of India's successful democracy. In India, we have free and fair democracy, free and fair elections. This is one of the or you can say the most important part of democracy, because democracy is based on the basis of elections or people's representation or people's participation in the process of electing the leaders and the overall running of the uh, government. So, this free and fair elections. Free and fair elections means those who are, there are few norms according to the Constitution of India. If we fulfill those criteria, then we are eligible for the for to participate in the elections. Now these are the general criteria, like you should be the citizen of India, you should have completed the minimum age, and so on. So like very basic criterias are there, and if you meet that criteria, if anyone who meets that criteria is eligible to participate in the process of election. And because in India we have this free and fair elections at regular intervals, that is at the end of 5 years we have, and so therefore this makes India a successful democracy. The increasing participation of the people in the political process and political competition shows that Indian democracy has become successful to a great extent. Now, how can we say that India is a successful democratic country? Because the participation of the people in the political process and political competition has shown that the number of participants the political competition as well as the political process has successfully has increased greatly in the years after the democracy. Therefore, we can say that India has become successful as a democracy to a great extent. Right to vote. The Indian Constitution has made the provision of right to vote for adults in the pre-independence period. Several sorry The Indian Constitution has made the provision of right to vote for adults. In the pre-independence period, several provisions existed which restricted the right to vote. Now, the way I said that there are criterias, and if we fulfill those minimum criterias, then we are eligible to vote. But in the pre-independence period, when we were under the British rule, this right was not given to it was not given equally to all. It had so many restrictions in that. All such provisions were cancelled after independence, and the Indian Constitution guaranteed adult suffrage by giving the right to vote equally. After the independence, all these restrictions were removed, and regarding the right to vote, so these were cancelled, and the Indian Constitution guaranteed adult suffrage. Suffrage is the right to vote in electing public officials and adopting or rejecting the proposed legislations. Now, when we say gave an adult suffrage, means all the adults were given the right to vote in electing the public officials by giving the right to vote equally to both men and women above the age of 21 years. Now, in so many countries or few countries, there is still discrimination on the basis of gender, wherein the men are given the right given to the men in voting is when a man votes, one vote is equivalent to two votes, whereas when a woman votes, one vote is equivalent to one count, one unit itself. So there is a discrimination in gender, men and women, but in India we do not have any discrimination, and it is equal to both. That is, if they are citizens of India and if they are completed the age of 21 years, they have equal right to vote. The voting age was later reduced from 21 to 18, which gave opportunity of political participation to the young generation in India. Later on, the minimum age of voting, which was 21 years, was reduced to 18 years so that the young generation can participate in the political election process. Such provisions have made India the largest democracy in the world. India has the largest number of voters compared to any other democratic nations. Since the age in India is 18 years, for minimum age limit is 18 years for casting your vote. So because of that, India has become the largest democracy wherein maximum numbers of voters can vote, do cast their vote. This change is not only quantitative but also qualitative, as new political parties are emerging with the active support of young voters. These parties represent various expectations of people and compete in the political sphere. Now this number has increased, but then this was not just increase in the quantity, but it has also helped India to improve in terms of quality, because as more number of young people are casting their votes, so there is a sort of competition in the politicians also, the leaders who are contesting the elections. In them also there is competition, wherein different expectations of the people are also taken into consideration, and therefore different political parties have different agendas, and based on those agendas we can cast our vote, or we can make a choice whom we want to vote, because that depends upon the priorities which these political parties are giving, subject to these parties coming into power. Decentralization of democracy. Decentralization of power is central to democratic government. Decentralization controls the misuse of power and also creates opportunities for political participation of the common people. The directive principle of state policy, including the provisions for democratic decentralization. One such important provision is regarding empowering the local self-government make genuine democratic governance a reality. After independence, several attempts were made towards democratic decentralization. One such important attempt is the 73rd and the 74th Amendment of Indian Constitution, which gave a constitutional status to local self-governing institutions and also increased their powers. Children, first of all, let us understand what is decentralization. Decentralization means transfer or distribution of authority from the central to the local government. Now we have our central governance system, that is the parliament in New Delhi. Then we have the decentralized power with the state governments. Each state has some authorities and it has some powers pertaining to the state, only that state. Then we have, under that we also have local governances. There are local legislatives which govern only their local areas. So this is called as decentralization of power, that is transfer or distribution of power or authority from central to the local government. Now when this was used, this decentralization of power is used in Indian democracy, it has helped to control the misuse of power and also created opportunities for political participation for the common people. Now how misuse? Because there are three layers, like the local authorities are have a check on them by the state government. The state government people or the state government has the check on of the um, central government on them. So that is how, because there is a check on each of them, therefore the misuse of power can be controlled. And it has also helped for the participation of the common people. Why? Because these are local bodies and therefore local people participate or contribute towards this local governance. That is how local people or common people are allowed to be a part. They can increase their participation in the local governance. The directive principles of state policy include the provisions for democratic decentralization. Now how this decentralization took place? There were some directive principles of state policy. So as per these state policy, the directive principles which were given, according to that those were followed, and this decentralization of democracy was done. Now what are directive principles? In our school, like we have a school diary, you have a calendar, school calendar. So in that all the rules and regulations are given: the time of the school, the uniform, the punishments, then all these details which you have to follow, which you have to obey, all those are given in the school diary, school calendar. So those are the directive principles. Similarly, there are directive principles of state policy which give the provisions for democratic decentralization. One such important provision is regarding empowering the local government make genuine directive democratic government a reality. So one such important provision is regarding giving more power. Empowering is giving power or giving authority to the uh, local self government to make democratic government a genuine or a true reality. After independence, several attempts were made towards democratic decentralization. After independence, there were many attempts were made for the democratic decentralization. One such important attempt is the 73rd and 74th Amendment to the Indian Constitution. Now you all know what is a constitution, right? In that there was a 73rd and 74th amendment. Amendment means alteration, addition, or a corrective change, or deleting a constitution, making changes in the constitution. Here in the 73rd and the 74th amendment, 74th point, there were changes made in the Indian constitution which gave constitutional status, which gave a status to the local self-governing institution, and also increased their powers. It also increased their powers and it gave them constitutional status. Can you tell the reason for the following changes? Some seats are kept reserved for the women to increase their participation in political process. Some seats are kept reserved for the weaker section of the society so that they can get a share in political power. The State Election Commission has been established. The 11th and 12th schedule was added to the constitution. Now amongst this first two, I will give you the logical reasoning for this, and the next two you have to find it out. Okay, the first two, that is the some seats are kept reserved for the women and for the weaker sections of the society. to get their participation or to get their political power or to increase their political process. Now in both these cases, the women as well as the weaker sections of the society were deprived of education and employment for quite long years. So there was a gap between the other people and the women and the weaker section of the society. The development of these, there was a vast difference. So to raise them up and to bring them in the level or in competition of the other people, this um, changes have been done regarding the women and the weaker section, so as to encourage them and inspire them to be a part of the political system. Right to information, that is RTI 2005. Citizen empowerment is the essential condition of democracy. Citizen empowerment. Empowerment means, I told you earlier also, empower is to give more power or to increase the power, to give some authority, more authority or more power. So more power, giving more power to the citizens was the essential condition of democracy. It is necessary to create opportunities for citizens' participation in and interaction with the government. It was very important that the citizens' participation, that the people's participation in the government and in the interaction, also the interaction between the government and the people should increase. That was very important. Increased communication between citizens and government helps in strengthening democracy and in building a relationship of trust between them. Why this building of communication or is important between the interaction or communication between the government and the people or and the citizens is important? Because it helps in strengthening the democracy and in building a relationship of trust between them. The more you interact with someone, you have more trust and you get to know those people or those things better. So interaction and communication helps in strengthening the relationship as well as building building a trust between the government and the citizens. Citizens have a right to know about the functioning of the government. The government of India gave the right to information to the citizens of India to ensure transparency and accountability, which are the hallmark of good governance. The government of India has given the right to the Indian right to information to the citizens. They have the right to get the information about the government proceedings or government work to the citizens of India, so that they can be more they can ensure more transparency. Transparency is more clarity, and accountability is they are more responsible, like the government is more responsible towards doing their work. Which are the hallmarks of good governance? Hallmarks: certificate of standards of purity of the for the government, that becomes the certificate for the government of for good governance. Right to information has made the government more transparent and has reduced the element of secrecy in the working of the government. Now because there is more transparency, therefore when it was more transparent, when it was more visible, when it was more seeable, therefore the secrecy was less. The things that were not revealed were less. So that is why this reduced the secrecy. Because of more transparency, the secrecy reduced, as transparency and secrecy are opposites. Therefore the working of the government was no more that secret with the citizens. After the year 2000, the whole approach towards democratic reforms has changed. Democratic reforms are considered as right of citizens. Accordingly, citizens in India have got right to information, education and food, right to information, education and food security. These rights have strengthened democracy in India. After the year 2000, the whole approach towards democratic reforms has changed. Democratic reforms. Now, uh, there was democracy since earlier, but then there were few things which were already there which needed to be changes, which needed to be reformed again. The word reform means reformed, forming again or making changes. Like our houses, when they get older, they need some changes according to our requirements. So there were some changes to made um, in order to improve them. Therefore, democratic reforms were considered as the right of the citizens, because it should be more beneficial to the people, to the citizens. It should be more connected to the citizens, and it should be of more use to the citizens. Therefore, these democratic reforms were changed, were reformed. And right to information, education and food security became the rights. They were no more the necessities, they were the rights. These rights have strengthened democracy in India. Do you know? Right based approach. In the decades after independence, progress was made towards more and more democratization of India. However, in this process, citizens were considered as beneficiaries. This process of democratization, making India more and more democratic, was continuously in progress, and this process was considered to be very beneficial to the citizens. In the last few decades, development is considered as the right of the citizens. Earlier, it was considered to be beneficial, helpful, and very useful for the people, but now it has become the right of the people. In your opinion, how will this approach change the relation between the government and the citizens? Do you think that the citizens in India should have the right to employment? According to you, if anyone gets the right to shelter, how will it affect democracy in India? You are supposed to think on these questions, like what do you feel the citizens in India should have the right to employment? Should they have the right to employment, that the citizens of India should necessarily get a job, get an employment? And also your what is your opinion, like if anyone gets the right to shelter, how will it affect democracy in India? If they have the right to get a house, how is it going to affect the democracy in India? Social justice and equality. Social justice and equality are the important objectives of our constitution. The constitution has given the guidelines to establish new society based on these two values. Now, the social justice and equality are very uh, important points in the democracy. So, the constitution has given to establish a new society. They have they say the constitution says, according to the constitution, to establish a new society, it should be based on these two values. Which two values? Social justice and equality. We are following the path laid down by the constitution to achieve this goal, and to achieve social justice and equality in the new society. um, to establish the new society, we are following the path laid down by the constitution. We are not in any ways neglecting the constitution or going against it. We are following the path which is shown by the constitution itself. To establish social justice is to remove those social conditions which are responsible for injustice and insist on the equality of dignity for all individuals. If we have to have social justice, then we have to remove the social conditions which which are more responsible for injustice, like following the social justice. Some social conditions we have to give away, let go, pass on. Like, we should not follow those social conditions so that we are not because they are responsible for injustice, and insist on the equality dignity for all individuals. And we should also insist, we should also strive more on the equality of dignity, equality of honor and respect for all individuals. The principle of justice and equality aim at ending discrimination in social status, such as superior or inferior, on the basis of caste, religion, language, and gender, place of birth, race, property, and giving equality of opportunity for development of every individual. If we have to have social justice and equality in our country, then we should have the aim of ending discrimination, ending differentiation on in the social status, such as this is good or this is bad, this is superior, this is inferior, on the basis of caste, religion, language and gender, place of birth, race, property, and giving equality of opportunity for development to every individual. So we should not differentiate among individuals, among the citizens, on the basis of caste, religion, language and gender. Like, men should not be considered superior and women should not be considered as inferior. No religion should be considered as superior and no religion should be considered as inferior. Similarly, no caste should be upper caste, lower caste, or superior caste. It should not be there. All should be treated equally. Even on the place of birth, if someone is born in a village, that doesn't mean that that person is inferior, and who is born in the metropolis becomes superior. No, it is not like that. A place of birth is immaterial. We should not have race. There should be no discrimination on the basis of race. Now, racism, the best example or the latest example we can give is that of the racism in the US. I think many of you must be following Insta and FB, and there are lots of posts against racism on Insta and Facebook. So you all know what is racism, and at the bottom of our heart that we know that it is really incorrect to be racist. We should not be racist. We should not support racism as well. Property and give also there should be no discrimination, no differentiation on the basis of property. Like, rich should be given different treatment and poor should be ill treated or should be treated anyhow, should not be done. Everyone should be treated equally, irrespective of how much property we have or we do not have. And giving equality of opportunity for development to every individual. Also, as we say that there should not be any discrimination, similarly equal opportunities should be given for development to each and every individual. To establish justice and equality, efforts are to be made at all levels of society, but the government's efforts and policies are on this front are more important. We may not discriminate, but then the policies of the government and the efforts taken by the government is very, very important. The policies which are made by the government are very important. They play a more important role in this justice and equality. For democracy to be inclusive, For democracy to be inclusive, one must try to bring all sections of the society into the mainstream. Democracy is, in fact, a process of accommodating different sections of society. Now, for democracy to be inclusive, that is, for including everyone in democracy, one must try to bring all the sections of the society to the mainstream. Like, uh, all the sections of the society should be brought at equal level. Democracy is in fact a process of accommodating different sections in society. Mm, Considering all as one, all the different sections of the society as one, as similar, as equal, is the is in fact democracy. So everyone should be treated or given equal opportunities. Democracy helps in reducing social conflicts. Whatever social conflicts are there, that can be reduced because of democracy, because only when we treat everyone equally, there are very less chances of differentiation, and when there are less differences, there are less conflicts. Democracy helps in reducing social conflict. Let us take a review of the efforts made in India in this direction. So now let us see what are the efforts taken to bring all everyone at the same level, to bring everyone at the mainstream and give equality to everyone. Policy of reservation of seats. Policy of reservation of seats is meant for those sections of society who have been deprived of the opportunities for education and employment for a long period of time. Accordingly, in educational institutions and in government services, some seats are kept reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. There is also a provision of reservation of seats for other backward classes. Now, we all know that these so-called backward classes, that is the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes, these people were very ill treated in many years ago. They were deprived of, they were not given the opportunity, they were not allowed to take education and employment for a long period of time. Therefore, those people could not educate themselves or get employment for themselves, and therefore, since they were taken aback, therefore it is very important that now we give them some reservations in the educational fields as well as in the um, for the employment also. Few seats should be kept reserved for them in the government offices. Also, there are some this provision is also there for the other backward classes. Scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, Prevention of Atrocities Act. This is an important act for establishing social justice and equality. This act prevents any injustice against the people belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, and any act of atrocity against them is liable for punishment. Now, since these people were very ill treated in the past, there is a chance that now also they can be discriminated. So, there is an act of atrocity wherein they are also entitled for equality and social justice. And as per this act, the injustice against the people belonging to this scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, if there is someone who misbehaves with them in any act of atrocity. Atrocity means an extremely cruel, violent, or shocking act. So, if someone behaves badly with them, if someone behaves cruelly with them, then it is then these people are such people are such people who are behaving badly with them are liable for punishment. So today you can just Google what is the provisions of these acts, atrocity act, and you can get some information about it from the Google. Provision for minorities. The Indian Constitution has made several provisions for the protection of minorities. The government has adopted several policies for the minorities to provide them the opportunity for education and employment. The Indian Constitution prohibits discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, race, language, and region. This is a comprehensive provision for minorities which fundamentally protects their right to equality, freedom, right against exploitation, and cultural and educational rights. Now we have seen that there was discrimination for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe peoples. Similarly, there are some provisions for the minorities as well. Who are the minorities? Minority is a smaller number or a smaller part of the society. So now in India, this being a Hindu nation, who are the minorities? The minorities are the Muslims, the Christians, the Jews. So these are the minorities. So there has to be a special provision for these minorities so that they can be provided with opportunities for education and employment. Therefore, the Constitution prohibits discrimination on the basis of caste, religion, race, language, and region. Therefore, this is a comprehensive provision. Comprehensive means a provision which includes all, including the scheduled caste, everyone. This is including all the minorities or everyone, including everyone, for fundamental for which fundamentally protects the right to equality, freedom, right against exploitation, and cultural and educational right, so that they can get equal opportunities as us for the educational, for employment, for fundamental rights. And there is an against exploitation is the act of treating someone unfairly. They should not be treated badly. For that there is a provision made by the Constitution. Laws relating to women and provision for representation. Now we all know, we have studied in history as well in the earlier standards, that the way the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe people were deprived of their rights in the earlier times, similarly even women were deprived of their rights in the earlier times. Like many years ago, you must be knowing that girls were not allowed to take education, they were not allowed to work. So therefore, when they were not allowed to take education and they were not allowed to work for many years, they have remained quite backward. Therefore, to uplift the women also, there have to be some provisions, there has to be some privileges given to them, so that they can be lifted, they can be uplifted. In the post-independence period, efforts were made for empowering women. Taking into consideration the problems of women, several policies have been adopted by national and international level to remove illiteracy among women and to make available opportunities for their development. So there were many opportunities were given to the women on the national and international levels for their education. It was considered that the education of the women was very, very important, and therefore opportunities were given for them to take education and to develop themselves. The right to have an equal share in the property of the father and husband, Dowry Prohibition Act, Act Against Sexual Harassment, Demog- Domestic Violence Prohibition Act are some important provisions which create a favorable environment for the protection of freedom of women and securing their development. uh, Now, with when we have seen that there have been changes in the amendment, there have been changes in the constitution. Similarly, now women have are entitled to the to have equal share in the property of their father and husband as well. Then Dowry Prohibition Act, we all know that there were many cases, or many women were burnt alive, or they were killed for dowry. So dowry prohibition, wherein dowry was made illegal, that is how Dowry Prohibition Act was formed. Then domestic violence, again a part of dowry. Domestic Violence Prohibition Act are some important provisions which create a favorable environment for protection of freedom of women and securing their development. So to develop and secure the women in India, it was very important to make such provisions and acts